Okay. What grade would you give the Broncos?
So the Broncos, because of the Russell Wilson trade, they don't get that first-round pick. But they had a second-round pick and maybe got the best second-round player in the draft, Nick Bonito, great edge rusher, 16 sacks last 2 years at Oklahoma, and then tight end Greg Dulcich, who was a walk-on at UCLA, to replace Noah Fant. So both picks will play immediately. Both picks are players of need. 6 of their 9 picks were defense, which I think is the right side of the ball for them because they've got Russell Wilson to elevate the offense. So I thought they had a great draft.
The Cowboys.
I'd give them a D. So, first of all, they lost a lot of production. The edge, Sam Williams, had all sorts of off-the-field problems in college. A lot of people took him off their board. They were the most penalized offensive line last year, and they drafted the most penalized offensive lineman in college. I didn't see much of a plan. It's the second straight year they've gone with a lot of red flag character guys, so I didn't like it.
What grade are you giving the Eagles?
A-. Jordan Davis, I thought, was a great pick, and I loved how aggressive they were. They gave up a lot to get A.J. Brown, but they also got Nakobe Dean, linebacker, third round. So I give him an A- because he didn't get surgery, and there are major injury concerns, so he may not work. If he does, you stole a Pro Bowler in the third round. So I like their aggressiveness, even not only on the trade, but on Nakobe Dean, who a lot of people passed on because of his injury.
How about the Jets?
Jets get my highest grade. I got to tell you something. I think this is about as good a draft as I've ever seen. They have 4 of the best players at their respective positions in the first 2 rounds. They got a starting corner, a starting receiver, a starting edge, a starting running back, and a lot of people thought Jeremy Ruckert, the tight end, was the second best tight end in football. That's about as good as you can draft. Now, again, it's a rebuilding roster, so it allows you a lot of picks and a lot of guys who can start. But Joe Douglas in back-to-back drafts has just hit it absolutely out of the park. Can Zach Wilson cinch it all together? Hopefully. But this is again, what do I know? We guess on a lot of this stuff, but they got wildly athletic, productive players in the first couple rounds. I don't think there's any misses there.
How about the Lions?
B+. I like what they did. They were super aggressive. Now, I don't know. Jameson Williams, a receiver from Bama. This is why I give it a B+. He's coming off of surgery. People love him. And Aiden Hutchinson's really good, but some people see him as kind of a lower ceiling but a productive player. If Jameson Williams, the receiver, and that's the first-round receiver they've drafted since Calvin Johnson, if he's great, and he could be, I had a general manager tell me over the weekend, he's like, if that kid is healthy, he will light this league up by Thanksgiving. So this could be an A+ draft based because Amon-Ra St. Brown last year, who they got in the 4th round, was way better than projections. So they may have found a number 1 wide receiver in this draft, but off an ACL, he may not be ready to really roll till halfway through the season.
The Packers.
I would give him a C. Their first pick, the Georgia linebacker, Quay Walker's great. He'll start. But the problem is they don't have a single receiver on the roster that had over 650 yards. So I would have taken those first 2 picks, moved up, and gotten a star. Because I don't think they have a lot of holes in the roster. I think they have 1, and I would have addressed it. But they draft and develop very well. So I would have said, hey, here's the moment. Aaron's 38. They've got a bunch of 2, 3, and 4 receivers. Let's go get a 1 potentially. They didn't. But, if Christian Watson ends up being great, then I'm wrong.
The Patriots.
F. Why are they drafting running backs? Like they have a stable. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson. Like, why are they drafting quarterback? They've got one. So I thought they reached on everything. I got the guard. Now, I wouldn't have picked him there, but I got the guard because Shaq Mason left. And they do a great job on the O-line. But it's like, dude, wouldn't you have been better off just retaining J.C. Jackson, the corner, instead of drafting a couple and crossing your fingers? And by the way, you drafted him 3rd and 4th round. So they won't be as good, at least for the next 2 years. So I just thought they had running backs. They've got a quarterback. They had a corner if they would have signed him. I don't get their strategy at all.
The Ravens.
I mean, every year, A. I thought they got the best safety, the best center, and one of the best edges with their first 3 picks. Mm-hmm. Their first 4 picks were all mentioned as possible first-rounders. They do this really well. They're really smart. Kyle Hamilton, because he ran a slower 40 time, dropped, but he allowed 17.5 passer rating when you threw in his direction at Notre Dame. So, I mean, value can be a little overrated. You need players. But to get the best center and the best safety and not move up, it's like, wow, this is what the Ravens do time and time again.
The Seahawks.
First time I can remember ever saying this. So they got to start over at tackle. They got 2 tackles. One's going to be a star. They have Seahawks fans freaked out. We already got running backs. You do not have a playmaking running back. Rashad Penny is not reliable. Chris Carson's great, not reliable. And then you got a bunch of guys. Kenneth Walker led all of college football in post-contact yards. He's a star. When you lose Russell Wilson, you got to have playmakers. That's why be careful about trading Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. They need a home run hitter at running back. They do not have one. I would keep Rashad Penny as my 2 because he's got some acceleration that the other backs in Seattle don't. But I just liked everything they did. So and also in the Russell Wilson trade, they have a ton of draft capital next year. So you can see what they're doing. They're saying, listen, we're in a tough division. We want to be in the top 5 or 6. There's going to be 2 or 3 teams we know that aren't going to be great this year. Atlanta's rebuilding. Seattle's rebuilding. But I think Atlanta in their division can win more games than Seattle in theirs. And Marcus Mariota is better than Drew Lock and Geno Smith. So Seattle has earned the right to go back big for a year, get their cap right. They did. Get their draft capital increased. They did. And I thought, Seattle's first-round picks in the last 6-7 years, I have ripped every year. This was great. Charles Cross is their left tackle for a decade. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.